Hi, welcome to Molecular Hydrogen and the Health Benefits of Kangen Water. My name is Nathan and I'm a naturopath from Beyond Good Health Medical Clinic. I've been practicing for over a decade, working with an amazing team of holistic doctors, kinesiologists, naturopaths, and psychologists. Some of the conditions that our patients face are inflammation, oxidative stress, interresistance, toxicity, and gut dysbiosis. This really is some of the foundational problems with most of the conditions that we see. They can all usually be led back to some of these problems. What I want to share with you today is how we can rectify some of these problems and ideally prevent them. So what's driving some of these conditions? Well, a big part of it is the free radicals in our environment and oxidative stress. They come from a variety of places that you can see. And if you think about it visually, oxidation and free radicals is what happens to the apple when it's cut in half and it goes brown. The same thing's happening to your cells on a daily basis. It's called aging. Now that can either be sped up through additional exposure to these free radicals, or we can slow it down by reducing the free radicals. And I guess one is better than the other, right? You want to slow down aging, certainly not increase it. So how can we do that? Well, one substance called molecular hydrogen, a lot of that done or collated is from the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, and they describe molecular hydrogen as a diatomic covalent bond. Basically, two hydrogen ions have come together and they form molecular hydrogen. When this happens, it is one of the most powerful free radical scavengers. While not classified as an antioxidant itself, it upregulates our own antioxidants. Kangen water is able to produce this because it is classified as electrolyzed reduced water. In Japan, it's recognized as a medical device. And so I'm going to be discussing with you just how that works and why it's so important. Molecular hydrogen has been shown in over 1,000 different publications to be assisting over 170 different animal and human diseases. And some of them you can see here. Now, these are conditions that the Loma Linda University School of Medicine say of the top 10 diseases that we face, molecular hydrogen has been shown to be beneficial in 8 of them, which is amazing. One thing you do on a daily basis, that's drinking water with dissolved therapeutic levels of molecular hydrogen, and you're able to help prevent some of these conditions. So what are the 3 key benefits of molecular hydrogen? Well, it's acting as an antioxidant. It's not actually an antioxidant, but because it is able to selectively remove one of the most nastier free radicals, the hydroxyl free radical, a lot of people call it an antioxidant. What it does do, though, is it upregulates our own antioxidants. It is able to cross the blood-brain barrier, which very few substances can do, and it's able to reduce inflammation by controlling the amount of free radicals produced in the first place through downregulating our NADPH oxidation system. Even long after it's gone out of the water, after we've drank it, it is still protecting our DNA, RNA, and protein membranes and mitochondria from cell damage. It's amazing. And it does a lot of this by upregulating our antioxidant pathway called NRF2. And why it's so effective? A lot of the time, supplements just can't get to where they need to get to make a difference. CoQ10, for example, has a molecular weight of 863, while molecular hydrogen is 431 times smaller. So now you can see why I can cross that blood-brain barrier and virtually get into any tissue in the body and do its job. How much of the free radicals is it able to reduce? Well, it itself, as I said before, the hydroxyl free radical. But the great thing is, it increases our glutathione, our superoxide dismutase, and our catalase, and they do the job of reducing the other free radicals. How much does it actually reduce? A lot. Well, according to some of the studies, human studies, in just 4 to 8 weeks, they measured 2 markers of oxidation and found up to 43% decrease in the markers. Now, looking at the positive side, increasing the antioxidants up to almost 40%, which is simply amazing. Now, this is something that a lot of people, when they try and do their own research, unfortunately get confused about. We are not talking about alkaline water here. We're talking about electrolyzed reduced water. Alkaline water is a substance where, for example, one on the shelf at your supermarket, a manufacturer has taken water, and it can be up to 40% recycled. They've added carbonates into that water to increase the pH, which your stomach then has to buffer. Not a good thing, but they label it as alkaline water and charge you a couple of dollars a litre for it. And that's what gets a lot of the bad publicity. When you're looking at the way the Kangen water makes the water, the water molecules are being split apart through electrolysis. This process creates hydroxide molecules, the OH negative. These themselves is what, when you're looking at a pH scale, cause a substance to go higher in their base or their alkaline form. The alkaline is only a result of having a lot of these additional hydroxide molecules being split apart from water. Nothing is being added into the water. And so these hydroxide molecules are not buffering the stomach and therefore has no impact on our stomach acid, unlike the alkaline water. So why is water so important? Well, we're made up of around 70% water. All of our cells and systems and organs are living in this water. What's your environment like? What are your cells living in each day? Do you want to make it better? Well, water supports the membrane of our cells at a molecular level. It assists in the minerals coming in and toxins going out. Things like potassium are essential for this. And when you're acidic, you're eating acidic foods, drinking acidic water, it is basically using up a lot of potassium, making this harder for the body to maintain. So why I believe Kangen water is such an amazing thing that everyone should be drinking is that when it does split those water molecules apart, you have those hydroxide ions, which are non-reactive. They don't affect stomach acid, as I said. But what they do is they chase after the hydrogen ions. So if there's any unbound hydrogen ion or one attached to a free radical, it's able to convert that to water. So now we're increasing the hydration of our cells. The molecular hydrogen, most of the studies are showing that around at least 0.3, but more typically around 1.5, is needed to have a therapeutic effect for a lot of the conditions that they're referring to molecular hydrogen helping with. I maxed out my test meter at 1.8 and used the methylene blue H2 drops, and I got 2.7 parts per million of molecular hydrogen. This isn't just for the first liter or two like some machines. It's continuous. Liter after liter, it can maintain doing this. You don't have to let the machine cool down. It can do it for 10, 20, 30 liters. As long as you're running the water slow, it can produce this abundant amount of molecular hydrogen year after year. And that's what separates it from those little hydrogen machines where you click a button and all you see is the bubbles. This is undissolved molecular hydrogen. If you then go and use a test meter or the H2 blue drops, you'll find very little to no molecular hydrogen left because the machine wasn't able to dissolve it in the water. It just stayed as a gas. So it looks fancy, but unfortunately not what you want. And the other benefit that I love about the Kangen water is that it takes the minerals and all the trace elements, and if they happen to be bound to a carbonate, it is able to separate that and leave it in its ionic form. This is the best way to absorb minerals and trace elements. You can go buy expensive ionic mineral trace element solutions and add them to your water, or you can just have a very good water filter, remove contaminants, and leave all these trace elements and minerals in and allow your Kangen machine to make ionic minerals. So to give you a visual of what I mean by this hydroxide being a negative charge, a substance will either have a positive charge, meaning in the redox reaction, it's an oxidant causing damage, or it will have a negative charge because it can reduce and remove the oxidation. You can see on this chart that things like tap water, around 300 to 400, soft drinks 400 plus. And so even bottled water that's alkaline is going to have a positive ORP charge, meaning it's an oxidant. On the other hand, things like Kangen water can take that 300 millivolt tap water down to a negative 800, which is what our cells prefer. as you can see on this picture, our cells prefer a negative 70 millivolt, especially our neurons. They like it to be around negative 90. Now, when things are more negative, that cell membrane that the minerals are keeping nice and balanced, allowing things in and out, is working a lot better. As it loses some of that electrical action potential, the cell goes closer to zero in more of a disease state. The membrane becomes more harder and rigid, waste struggles to get out, and nutrients aren't as easily absorbed. And so that's why it's important to let the body regulate this as best as possible. If you're drinking all these acidic waters or even alkaline water that has a positive charge, you're having to disrupt the body and use up additional resources to bring it back to where it needs to be. If you're drinking water that has a negative charge, even if it has no positive benefit, there's no negative benefit. It's not putting additional burden on the system. However, some of the research shows that there is a benefit because the hydroxide is able to convert some of the acids, as I said before, into water. And so you're neutralizing the acid, which again was using up that potassium, which helped keep that cell membrane potential in a healthy state. So there, that's the summary of why I believe Kangen water should be in everyone's home. The negative ORP, the molecular rich hydrogen in the water, and it being full of ionic minerals. So hopefully that's been an eye-opener like it was for me. And now you're looking forward to implementing this amazing technology into your home for you and your family.